free-flowing version of this podcast.
Well, sometimes the
in case
Thunk
that's what
Tank
you
can be
want.
too structured and too, like we stick to one topic like very exclusively and we don't jump around enough.
Did you try to say exclusively and explicitly?
All right, we should end this.
Exclusively.
To the tank.
All right.
All right, to the tank.
Well-
Any last? Welcome to the Thunk Tank. Come in the tank. We're thinking, and we're drinking,
And we're thunked.
and we're thunked.
Oh my god, I'm probably more beer than man if we go far enough back at this point.
Thunk Tanks live.
Ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba.
Well,
Is that how the year 2099
here we are in the year
opens?
2020. How many years away? Quick math. Are we from 2099?
We are closer to the
79.
year
79.
We are closer to the
78,
year
right?
2099 than we are to World War II.
Yeah.
I'm not going to check you on that, but that feels right.
It feels right? I haven't
It's
run
not,
the numbers
but
myself.
It feels right.
Is that right?
It's definitely not.
If not, if not
No, it is
empirically,
right.
maybe
It is right.
emotionally.
World War II started like 80 years ago, bro.
60 plus 20 is 80. 20 plus 80. All right, you're close to being right.
Yeah, I'm very close to being right.
Not quite right though,
Well, we wanted to.
because we're 80 years away from. We're 79 years away from 2099, and
You really struggled
We're
to say
80s.
99 there.
how many years
Yeah,
away?
that rolled out.
Yeah, that was. I was one of them 99s. You almost went.
Well,
a
let's
little,
just put it this way: the other
99, I don't
title
know.
possibility for this episode was 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah, but we're at
That's
a
too much
pivotal
beer.
moment here, folks. Episode
Yeah.
99.
We didn't know what to do.
Why would you say that? Why would you?
I meant
admit
weeks ago as we were planning this.
Yes.
We didn't know what to do,
that? Yes, that's true. And as
and
the
we knew we
professionals
wanted to
we
do
are,
something big.
special.
And we also knew we wanted to do something even bigger for episode 100.
Yeah,
And so what we came up with, take it away, Joe.
we're going to the future and back. Is that copyright infringement?
Again. Wait, shit.
Did we do it yet?
We got Carolyn here. She's a regular at this point. I shouldn't have to introduce her.
We got the whole crew today.
We got
and
the
it's
whole
because
crew. We
we're
got
gonna-
our lawyer, Tommy, here.
Hello, hello.
We're gonna need the whole
Blast
crew
it off.
though.
We near
So,
our,
yeah,
our
blast-
whole crew.
Make
Yeah.
this journey correct and survive. We need everyone on. All hands on
We-
deck.
All hands on deck.
Yeah, you need a full complement to time travel, and we're gonna take you through a journey of the mind
Is my mic on?
to the year 2099. We're gonna speculate on how crazy things are gonna get.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the future cast.
Our
everybody.
last double-digit episode leading into the tri-digits
This is one of the
future.
most historical Thunk Tank episodes you'll probably listen to.
This is big. This
other
is
than
huge,
100.
which is going to come next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tune in next week, and thank you for listening.
Yeah. Hey, can you imagine there are people listening to this right now who have listened to 98 episodes so far?
There's at least one. Yeah. Some of them have just skimmed the Thunk
Why?
repertoire.
I say, yeah, I'm probably in the 80s.
Yeah, I'm
here's
probably
the-
in like the 20s.
Here's my first question: why was it 2009, but this is 2099? Like, why didn't we call it 2009
Or
2009?
20 and 99.
They might call it 2099. They might call it 2099.
We don't even know how they'll be communicating then.
Wait, wouldn't it be 20 and 69? Or 20
do
and
think-
79, rather?
Well, see, the whole point is, I do think that I'm going to just gloss over that.
Kara looks so disappointed.
They could
I
be
do think it's-
counting in base 8 by then.
it is. It could.
Okay,
It
now,
could be
now
an
I feel
octet
disappointed.
society.
Ooh, how different do you think the language will be? Probably not.
So that's something I talked to Kara about, and I've talked to Joe about. Like, if you go back you can go back a while to the Civil War, and you understand exactly what Lincoln's saying. Yeah,
Hmm.
4 and our forefathers brought forth, like his
No, I don't-
wording's a little
I don't know what
odd,
he's
but you
talking about,
understand
fourscore.
it.
Is he bowling? What is that?
But if you go back like another 100 years, all of a sudden it's just kind of Shakespearean nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's weird. So
And then
when
add
is
another
that-
0 and go back 1,000. You're like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
You're totally lost. So it's like,
You're like,
where
oh.
is that next jump gonna be from what we think of now as what we?
But it speeds up,
Sound
too.
like-
It's changing
Well-
faster and faster.
But we're also more connected than we've ever been. And
Which I don't
connection,
like.
it's isolation that creates different dialects and different languages, right?
That's true.
not
so-
necessarily because of texting.
Well,
I
texting
think.
is like a whole weird thing. Like, I feel like nowadays, with every language you learn, you have the formal learning of the language and then the texting version of the language. And like Turkish, for example, the way they text is completely incorrect Turkish. They're too lazy to use the actual Turkish letters, so they use the English ones that look like it because it's easier to type on a keyboard. And I'm just like, what is this word? And I don't recognize them, but like I don't text a lot in Turkish. It's not like two languages. It's like one language plus like a side thing. I don't know. What about like in Asian languages? Do they ever type in like the Latin alphabet, or how does that even work?
No, as far as my experience goes with phones that have Mandarin, they have it sort of phonetically, and then the phone kind of figures it out. So you put in the sounds with the whoa, and then it figures it out.
Yeah, you spell out
I think.
instead of because
Please fact check me.
Yeah, a lot of Asian languages you write the characters. Multiple characters make up a word, so you just spell out what the character sounds like phonetically on a QWERTY keyboard.
That sounds
but
like a lot
I've
of
seen
work.
Chinese keyboards. There's a shitload of keys on it because they do have a bunch of characters.
Right.
But I mean that stuff's not that crazy because they used to have hieroglyphics, which are memes. There's people that communicate through emojis and memes now that send very little actual text, and there's history of that happening.
Yeah.
So like that stuff, I think it's more the state of your frame of mind. Like I think within how far did we say it was 70 something years?
79.
That's long enough that's generations now. We're going to be engineering people. So I'm much more interested, like, maybe they don't need to speak if we just, like, figure out what the telepathy gene is.
That's what I was going to
and
ask.
it's like,
we
it
might
cuts
trans-
down
So-
on noise pollution
That's what
in
Elon
cities.
Musk
and
Okay,
does.
so
everyone just thinks at each other.
let's put this in perspective of sci-fi novels, right? Like you started off talking about Gattaca, but talking about the psychic gene that's going into Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern, which is sci-fi, not fantasy.
Okay. We didn't say anything about Gattaca yet.
Yeah, engineering humans.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that stuff's already, like, kind of starting, right? Like,
Well,
gene
in-
therapy
I know
and
in
cancer
China
patients and
they
stuff.
officially used CRISPR on a human like a couple
Right,
months
in
ago.
China. That guy went to jail, though, for it.
Oh, I just mean like in general that it's a possibility that they can do that, and then who knows what like 60 years of research at our research pace will do, right? The thing about change is like you have the actual change and then the rate of change.
Yeah, you have like 4 drugs approved by the FDA by then.
I think they'll get rid of biology altogether within the next.
Maybe we'll have the
79 years.
coronavirus cure by then.
No, I think you'll just get rid of biology. Why would you have it? Why would you bother? It's so inefficient compared to
do you-
robotics.
No,
will be.
no.
Hands down.
Biohacking is the next big frontier. Like, I feel like we're more advanced in like space travel and computers than we are in.
Yeah,
in
but let me ask you
tweaking
this:
our own biology.
which is easier, Johnny? Sending a human to Mars and terraforming Mars so humans can live there, or sending just 3D printers to Mars and uploading your consciousness to robots that can 3D print?
Okay, so now we're talking about Dune, the prequels.
I have a third option for you, Joe.
Yeah.
Where you just edit your own genes so that you can breathe carbon monoxide now, and you don't need as much oxygen, so you don't need to leave Earth.
But
Or
that's
you just
implying there is
engineer
a
somebody that
chemical solution that actually works on.
Yeah, robots can probably do that better in another
Or-
60, 70 years. 79
Or should we
years?
bring up Avatar?
Because
We should
robots
always-
would have to be. You have to have robots designed just for building robots. The great thing about biology is it self-replicates and reproduces. Like it's
How do
and you can
robots
just
not
hack
do
that?
that?
Well, you got a program to do it and find.
No,
It's
you
just
got an
another
app.
step.
I feel like it's
well,
unlikely we'll be living in the physical real world if we even are right now. We might be our own future selves that have said life is this meaningless, expansive thing. Let's make ourselves ignorant and live these like quote unquote human lives.
That's what I mean.
So
You
the
re-
Matrix.
You really
Yeah,
think,
Matrix to ourselves.
I'm not going
though.
to stop. I think I'm adding a lot to this podcast.
Yeah, but you really think that people are going to be going to Mars and shitting on Mars in 79 years? Just
They might.
just send robots and upload your consciousness. That's way more efficient than having to worry about.
I do think humans will
dump
be
disposal
around.
on Mars.
If we're in base reality right now, what? All right, are we in base reality? Everybody answer that.
Maybe
I don't think it matters.
Equivocal.
equivocal.
No, see, the thing is, it's not going to be go into a simulation or we all go to Mars. People are just going to all do all of them. Like there's already people who live in their virtual worlds. They spend 12 hours a day playing video games, and they spend the rest of the time doing whatever. Like there's people that they already inhabit that space. There's people that are obsessed with making their bodies as strong as they can and like taking testosterone in their 60s and try to biohack themselves. Like we're going to do all of it. And that's what's going to make it so crazy in 2099. Because you are going to have people that are just like, life got tough. I made a bunch of money. I'm just in a tank now.
Oh,
It's
so it
way
won't
better.
be one reality.
And-
it will be
right.
all of these realities is what you're saying.
Or like Total Recall, to make it back about sci-fi. You'll be like, do I want to go visit Mars and actually see like my cousin there? Or do I want to just go into the Mars Total Recall simulation for like a fraction of the price for a week? And then, hey, I didn't have to take the time off from work, but it felt like I did.
Yeah, I still got to
you'll
bang
have the
aliens.
whole, you'll have the whole breadth of that.
I think the one thing that we can know for certain out of all of these different options is no matter what it is, it's going to suck and there's going to be a Karen complaining about it.
That's absolutely 100%.
If humans
true.
are around, there'll be a Karen coughing on someone in a Starbucks. Did you guys see that video?
No.
So
But
this,
I believe
this
it.
Karen didn't know she was being filmed, which is how you catch a Karen.
Classic Karen.
It's like the Discovery Channel when the lions don't realize the camera crew's there.
Yeah.
So the Karen is waiting for her stuff at the pickup part of Starbucks. And she's in some fight with someone who must have made a comment.
Of course, yeah.
'Cause she
she's
didn't
just
have a
being
mask
Karen,
on.
Yeah.
You're supposed to wear a mask, but she didn't have one. And the video starts and they're kind of yelling across the Starbucks at each other. And then the Karen just goes, well, it just sounds like you're a fucking bitch. You're a little pussy. And the other lady goes, oh, yeah, come over here and say that to my face. And the Karen grabs her drink, walks over there, and coughs in her face. Goes, there, how do you like that? And it's all on video.
Isn't that assault now?
That's they technically that she could be charged with almost like a terrorist act or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Like,
Because
you're
it's
not allowed to do that.
biochemical warfare or whatever. No, but the weird thing is about that is when those people, because we've talked about this in our public freakouts, people sometimes they don't realize someone's filming what's going to ruin their life, but
Thank
other
God,
times
yeah.
they see someone holding a phone up, but you're
they
just
still
so
do it, yeah.
you're so heated in that space that it doesn't matter. My favorite though is when they don't realize they're being recorded and then they realize. They always make this childish sound like, oh, you're gonna record me? Yeah, put me on Facebook.
Yeah.
They always make this weird like you're the stupid one, and they have because they realize that they're on camera. But we're going to get to a point where everything is just filmed and recorded always by the AI for our
what's
own
the
good.
accountability going to look like in 2099?
Idiocracy.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
movie.
if
That's a
people
great movie.
are always being watched and they just get used to that, like how does that change their baseline Karening?
It's not how our
Instincts,
memory evolved, right? So like when the Karen's doing that in Starbucks, she knows all the people around will have a story about what she did, but she knows that she can manipulate that story and make herself look better. But when there's just pure naked video of it, where it's just like, this is what happened objectively, then there's no way she can like paint herself to possibly be the victim or to
But
be
isn't
better or
But aren't you assuming that that's how societies have worked? But if you go back to the more basic hunter gatherer 100-person
I
unit,
think it's all about the talking and the stories and what do you call
no. But
it?
I mean, if you had a smaller
gossip.
hunter gatherer unit of, I don't know, maybe 100 people, there's much less opportunity to manipulate that truth, because if you get into a big fight in the tribe, people will just see it.
I think I
Well,
don't
like,
think
Joe,
we
the
have
place where
Karen
you're publicly-
arguments in a tribe of 100 Neanderthals.
Were there Karens? I don't know.
No, Joe. With a group that small where you're sharing all your experiences,
Yeah,
it's not that people try to manipulate the truth. It's that you have a narrative you agree on.
Right.
Like you all remember that party. Maybe he made a big scene at the feast, but like this guy had such a good speech. And the scene wasn't that bad. Like we all remember the speech. We remember it was a good night. Like there's an agreed shared narrative.
Yeah.
And like we already see that's falling apart because there is
Yeah.
video, and so people will watch one video of an actual event, and well, I think this person was right. Well, I think the other person was right, or in the wrong, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
well, we also
the
don't
whole
see the context or know who these people
yeah,
really
the videos
are.
just start
Yeah.
and then we're like, what's happening?
Which
Yeah.
has been a big
Yeah.
problem with a lot of videos, where it
Mm-hmm.
either side starts at any point in a video and they take it however they want from there.
and
right?
anyone can cut that video to look better for whatever image they're trying to
So,
Right, yeah,
so
whatever
maybe we
narrative,
need like an idiocracy kind of system then, because otherwise it's just the mob getting outraged at whatever Karen does, whatever the majority decides to cancel her or not. don't we need some kind of overarching like nanny system like in that movie?
I think whether it's a
'Cause it's-
nanny system or
maybe.
not, we do need a shared narrative. If like any culture is going to make it 79 more years, for example,
Yeah.
like we need some kind of story that we all tell each other that we all agree on, and the details further along can be weird and individual and like, oh, here's this tribe and this tribe and this tribe, and we're all doing our thing. We love
Yeah.
craft beer, we love wine, we love this, we love that. But like deeper down, we all have to have like some shared values if we're going to
Yeah.
share the same space of land, you know?
But there might
Yeah,
not
I don't
be land.
know if we
Global
do
warming, bro.
because some people can just I reject this reality. I'm going into the simulation, or we want to
But
go
their
be
physical
Mormons
body
on
would
Mars.
still have to exist, right? Unless you
Yeah,
can
but they don't-
upload consciousness to like a thumb drive and
Which you can
send
probably
it
do.
into
Yeah.
space to float around forever, and it has enough charge to last
Did you see-
300,000 years Earth time,
Did
which
you see
is
all
like
the
a
stuff
million years
that Elon
simulation.
Musk was saying about Neuralink when he was on Joe Rogan a few weeks ago?
He was saying the timeline
Yeah.
is
It's
like
like a few
possibly
years.
within 10 years,
Yeah,
maybe even 5 if things go really well.
yeah. Where he's talking about already uploading your consciousness and saving it to hard drives where you can like reload it like a video game from certain states and upload it into bodies. Oh, Kara, you look excited.
Dollhouse.
Oh, okay.
Kara's just gonna throw out this relevant sci-fi that we make references.
That's
to
Well,
it.
because right, this is how I think that's how we explore the future, especially in context of the like the media that we are able to have via phones and internet and robotics. That's how we explore the potentials, and most of the time it's not going to be that extreme. But the word robotics came from Isaac Asimov. So if you read all these things, you watch all these things, then you're going to have an idea and be a little bit more ready.
You mean like also you can explore what would my morality be if this is the future we might live in? So if like
Heinlein.
if you had the supercomputer in Asimov's Last Question and you could ask it all sorts of things, what would you do with that information? Would that change your moral code or just change the information you have access to?
Right.
Could you
Or would it
ask
not change you
what
at all?
is good?
Yeah.
Could you ask it deep moral questions that humans have not quite figured out? Or would the computer say insufficient data for a meaningful response?
Or to just say annihilate.
Yeah, or does it just say like humans? Maybe it will decide something more nihilistic, like human beings, if they are existing, will suffer, and suffering is bad. Therefore, human beings are bad. Delete
Yeah, therefore
Or-
nothing is the purest form of
of
existence.
something.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
or the answer will just be 42.
Yeah,
Well, the answer's
it might
always
be. It really might be. The
It
crazy
all
thing
adds
is,
to 42, folks.
just thinking back to all the things we didn't have 80 years ago, and they could have never predicted. In 1940, like no one could have predicted like universal birth control, or like penicillin didn't exist yet, or like no one would have thought, oh, women can decide if they want to get pregnant or not. Like that wasn't something you thought about, and it had such profound effects. There's so many little things like that in the next 80 years that will like the cell phone was that will change
Yeah.
society, and
Right.
and it's hard to even imagine like to
Yeah.
compare to the morality of 2099 to now, because like they're probably gonna look back and be like, people ate meat was crazy, like we just
Yeah.
eat algae and
I
fungus
can see
stuff
that
now.
one
That's
being
way
a real problem.
that's like way better for you.
That'll
like,
be
yeah,
a
that
real
people,
one of those anachronistic things where
But
people
I'm
say,
in the middle
how,
of-
how could they have possibly killed all those animals, those horrible, horrible, immoral monsters?
Or you hopefully you would
Guarantee
think you would
Yeah.
think, oh, you're going to drive around in a car with a tiny explosion contained in a block of metal. That sounds insane. Like, why wouldn't you just have a battery?
And sometimes
that
when
go?
guys want to drive through town and show off how big their dick is, they purposely make that explosion not muffled
And by
wake
big,
you up at
they'll-
3 in the
and
morning.
by big you mean
There'll
not
be a-
working.
Yeah.
There's going to be some weird new version of that where it's like, oh man, check out how many gills Jim gave himself. Like he's up to 7 now. That guy's a wild man.
Who knows where
Or
culture
fish.
will make it like how you show
Yeah.
off? Yeah,
But this is
Right.
why I think the jump between where we are now and weird singularity type stuff is going to be so stark. Because if you think about in 1900 compared to, you could have been born
Yeah.
in 1900 and remember being a little kid, like very, very young, and you heard, you saw in the newspaper somebody invented an airplane. didn't exist, right? And somebody invented an airplane.
And you had to go, wait, what is an airplane?
No,
Oh, it
no.
flies like a
People,
bird?
people. The idea existed. People would read about it and be like, "Well, that's not real."
no, that's
Jules
only-
Verne.
People didn't believe stuff
in the-
they read in the paper. Like I read that in Jules Verne that somebody
But it-
duped to this
but in that same,
newspaper man.
But in that same lifetime, there were people
Yeah.
landing on the moon 70 years
Yeah.
later. Not that long. And in 50 years since then, you think about that progression of sort of that type of travel. Have we really progressed that much? I mean, we've progressed in some ways, but we've progressed in other ways in terms of like IT systems and stuff.
Specifically
We-
communication.
Yeah,
and
we've gone
networking,
way
yeah.
deeper in other directions. So
I know.
it's
you look
weird
at
to think-
70s.
it's weird
Sorry,
to
you look
think
at
how those
70s
jumps
future.
happen.
Yeah, you look at 70s future, and they're still like talking into speakers and using
Yeah.
like electric tape, reel to
Yeah,
reel tapes
right.
to record stuff to run computers. We always get the predictions wrong about the future,
Yeah.
but like we don't get all of them wrong. But
Well,
the
we
big
get-
ones,
we get
like we
when
thought we'd
they're
have
gonna
flying
happen
cars
wrong.
by now.
Yeah.
They thought we'd have flying cars in like
But-
the 40s.
But the fact that we have an interconnected cellular network and can communicate
way
around the
crazier.
world is
Yeah.
way crazier than
Yeah.
just a car that could fly is probably a bad idea. Like Elon has said, if a hubcap
Yeah.
falls off, where's that going to land?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, oh yeah, maybe
or if you
flying
throw a
cars
cigarette out the
isn't a great-
window.
Yeah. Or
Well, you
piss
need
out the window.
lanes.
Or if,
You need
or if a
lanes.
friend of yours
So just
pisses
stay on
in
the
a
ground.
bag
Sky lanes.
of turkey burger meat and throws that out the window.
Right on
good.
top of my
Where's
house.
that gonna
That's
land?
not.
It's
It's
going to
just
land back in the year
logistics.
2098.
What if it falls right in your chimney as you're having like you're making love to your new partner with a glass of wine, and all of a sudden the bag of turkey meat falls through your fireplace, lands on the fire, and you're just like, "What the fuck just happened?"
God
Why does it
damn
smell like
kids in their
piss?
hover cars. Get away from my roof.
Is that me
Yeah,
after
I'd
my
much
second
rather-
divorce when I'm like
I think
maybe
you guys got what 2099 is.
It's after your second divorce
With your third
current
fiance.
No, I think it's more likely that you'll have like an electric ground car that goes like hundreds of miles per hour, and then you have like a couple of drones that like fly outside of it that make sure you don't hit stuff. You know, like it'll be so advanced and safe that it'll just be like something you can just.
that
Oh,
might
yeah,
be
yeah.
where
I'll-
it gets eventually.
I have another
Right?
postulate.
Interim, I think
think-
it's going to be highways that get automated first.
Yeah,
and then you
that-
take over on.
We're
the
talking
side
about 80
streets.
Oh,
years
for sure.
from now, though. I think self-driving cars will be here within 20.
Yeah, but that's the
10,
thing.
They'll be
Why would
common
you
within 20
need
or 30?
why would you need drones if it's all automated like Luke said, and that everybody
Because these speeds, I'm talking, we're going like bullet train speeds
Yeah.
now. Like real.
if they're all together,
Why not
you know,
put the sensors on the
everybody
car?
going from New York to Portland is in the left lane going, 200 miles an hour. People going from New
'cause,
York
like,
to
let's say I'm
Ohio,
going that
in the
fast
next
and
lane
a tree
over.
branch falls. One of my drones
Oh,
can
no,
go
these
and
are-
smash into the tree
don't have
branch
trees
to knock
anymore,
it out of
Johnny.
my path. Oh, there's no trees?
No.
Okay, you're
There's
right.
no
There
bees.
probably
Come
is.
on.
We have
No,
robot-
we're gonna. I
robot
think
trees.
the government is working on fake bees to replace them.
Uh,
But
Black Mirror.
That's a
Drone
tease for
bees,
our next
yeah.
pod.
No,
next
I don't
episode.
think that because they couldn't even handle coronavirus.
Have any of you guys seen that
They-
Black
that's
Mirror
what they want
episode
you to
though?
think.
With drone bees?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
That is what they want us to think. They want us to think they're incompetent and can't handle corona. Meanwhile, they knew about it
Meanwhile,
a year ago.
They got
too
bee-
busy
they got
with drone
artificial
to
bees
focus on
that are-
Corona.
and they're all the yeah. Mhm.
Let's save this for episode 100, though.
Johnny's
eh?
like, oh yeah, that's right. That's conspiracy. Yeah. Oh wait, no, we can't spoil it.
I
So,
thought-
but
okay.
going back to people who were born, in the early 1900s, my grandfather is 85 or 86, and he has adapted through everything amazingly.
Yeah, he has a
He
phone. and,
texts and
What
like
kind of phone does
knows
he
how
have?
to work.
Like
Fuck if I
smartphone?
know, maybe
Well,
iPhone.
well, not just
yeah,
not just
smartphone.
somebody who in their 80. Think about somebody who's like 50 when they were a kid trying to explain. Like, imagine talking to that kid from the 70s or whatever, and being like trying to explain email to him. He'd be like, "What? That doesn't exist." But that 50-year-old who grew up with like no context of it picked it up. And like, how many people, older people, like work with computers?
My
very
mom is better
efficiently
at technology
in-
than I
in
am.
in
and she
in
grew up
offices
with a
and stuff.
rotary phone, probably, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So humans are.
She didn't
pretty
grow up with a
adaptable.
phone
Even
when
better.
she was a kid.
I also think drugs are going to get electronic, which I'm think is going
Oh,
to
like
be pretty
Westworld
cool.
style.
Like Westworld.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Because
just
like
get
if
the
you have a
implant.
Neuralink hooked into your neurons,
You're
people
right.
immediately are going to be like, "Oh, what's the coding information? I'm going to figure out how to hack it and see what I can do." And people are going to try to do shit like, "How do I get more dopamine? How do I get more of this?"
You're
Like,
right.
and it's going to get
100%.
pretty
Well,
cool. I
do you think? Okay, here's a question then for the next 79 years. Do you think we'll figure out consciousness. And have you guys heard of the hard problem of consciousness?
As opposed to the easy one.
The easy
Thank
one
you, Joe.
is mapping the brain. The hard one is figuring
That's
out
not easy.
how that neural activity leads to subjective experience.
We covered this in our Meatballs in Space episode. Check it
That's
out.
true. That's true. Meatballs in space.
Episode
No,
50.
I don't think we ever will. This is also we covered in that episode
Oh.
the difference between impressive and miraculous. Like things that seem miraculous to us because we don't have the technology in a few decades will just be
By the way,
impressive.
miraculous
Like-
means seeming like a miracle, right?
right. Like cell phones would be miraculous. An iPad would be miraculous in the 1800s.
Totally. But we
You
can
know,
still
or
explain
like
it with today's
Right.
language.
But now it's impressive engineering, and in the future, it's going to be the same thing. And I just wonder if I now I'm going to lose you guys probably, but I think science is going to replace religion in like the same way that religion functions now.
Second, first foundation.
Kind of, yeah. I was about to make a foundation reference, but
so do you mean just say more?
So the things like you're saying that like that the hard consciousness is going to still be considered miraculous for I think hundreds of years, at least maybe thousands, and science is going to be able to use that as their like religiosity thing.
They're
like,
on
we're
the
working
pedestal.
towards
We
this.
can never achieve understanding of this sacred thing, kind of thing.
Right, but we can work to figure out everything else around it and how
Right.
it works, and like that's science. And so I wonder, like, what weird place because humans like crave like a weird religious and ritual and tradition and
Yeah.
stuff, and like the worship of science, I feel is going to end up replacing it in a couple more generations.
That's something we were talking about the other night, or the other day, I think we were having coffee and we were talking about how so many atheists we know are almost religious in their fervor about atheism, where they...
Or about anything else in their life that they attach
for something,
to.
something. Yeah.
Well, and it's very much it almost becomes an obsession in terms of, no, this is true, this is right, and people who don't believe it or don't agree just don't understand.
Well, they set axioms about the world. Like a religious person might say,
And it's not that I agree or don't
God
agree with it. It's
exists
just,
and looks over things. It's like, okay, but do you have any proof for that claim? They're like, proof for the claim that God exists? What are you, mad?
yeah.
Right? And that's what an axiom is. It's a leap of faith. It says this is a declaration of truth.
Yeah.
I don't
From
need
which
proof.
everything
it just
else is sort of centered around.
And
Everything
built
else,
from. It's the foundation.
stems from that. Correct. Yeah.
But science as a religion is really fun to think in your brain, like to run war games with in your brain, because like Christianity, Islam, other world religions, they consolidate power and you do things that religions tend to do, but science has the ability to make new forms of power and to like shift its own landscape, which makes it way cooler and more dangerous and more interesting, I think. Right?
What's the transcendent thing there, though? Because I feel like all religions, either with a god or
I think with
concept that
science,
you can't
it's
define
knowledge,
perfectly,
right?
But
It's knowledge and understanding. So it'd be like a neural link where you say, like, I have as much. I've crammed the most into science into one brain I could, like the most knowledge I can, and people are just going to have weird arms races, turning themselves into like autistic savant computer people.
but I mean, would you
Sounds
say
exhausting.
that like
And
consciousness
people will
itself-
worship those people? I think think
Indiana
that's where
Jones
it's
and the
going.
Crystal Skull.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when she gets too much
But
knowledge
isn't
at
it
once
also
and it melts
just
her
going to get
brain.
hive-minded? Isn't it just going to be collective? Sort of
I think this is what we were
Collective
saying
conscious,
about simulation
Yeah.
versus going to space. Like some people are going to want to be in a hive mind, and some
Yeah.
are going to say, "Fuck that,"
because they're going to say, "Oh, if
high
you join
castle."
my hive mind, we have
Rick
that
and
much
Morty.
more processing
Rick and
power to add to the hive mind, right?" And it's just going to become board collectives essentially.
Or, I mean, I don't know how crazy you want to get. It could be like Rick and Morty, where Rick is such an individual and a loner, but because he
sure.
figures out how to travel between dimensions, there's a whole city of him. And
Yeah,
it's
he's like if
that's
America were a
weird.
god.
You guys know Noam Chomsky's like language grammar theory.
Great guy.
It's the idea that like the human mind is preloaded with the ability to understand grammar, and in fact, a human infant is able to make every phoneme in every language, and only as they get older does that ability get blocked off, and they learn whatever languages they're actually
Oh, so that's
speaking.
the baseline simulation like booting processing system.
Yeah, what I
That's
mean
like
is like a baby
Windows
when they're
OS.
going their goo goo gaga ooh ooh they're saying all the phonemes from various languages that are all possible
right
sounds we
because
can make.
that's the just the base programming.
Right. So people have
simulation
suggested
confirmed.
that the human mind has a Chomskyan religious module that we're all preloaded with some belief structure that can very, very easily be filled with a religion that exists because those have evolved with this brain, like Christianity, right? Or it could be something totally new, like a cult, or it could be an ideology.
Wait, so it's just this belief in a higher like power or existence or being or state?
Not even necessarily. It's a belief structure that can be applied to human hierarchical something or like something transcendent like a god. But it's the idea that you're pre-wired to need something that gives your life meaning.
So I
Makes
think
sense
Neil
if we're self-aware,
Stevenson
right?
touches on this in Snow Crash too.
Oh, really?
That's my Kara contribution.
Yeah,
I
but
love
it
how
makes-
like you're just like
Bam,
dropping-
sci-fi.
We need to put in the episode notes like the book list of references
sure.
made, and people will think we read them all, and it'll be like one of
I
us
have
maybe
read them. Oh, what are you talking about?
yeah, I've read most
I
of
mean,
these
but
so
I
far.
haven't. It's not like I referenced that when I
I
said
know
that.
Karen. She's read Snow Crash.
But
There you go.
But
All right, can you
it-
make a list of these references, Kara, as you say them, like, and send me a text with them?
Yeah, we'll make up a list, but
We're
it
not
makes
gonna do any
sense
of that.
if you like if you are a species that evolved to have self-awareness and like be aware of reality and that you're a living thing and all the terror that comes with it. That
Horror.
like evolutionarily, you probably need an ability to like cope with that somehow.
I
which-
think
yeah,
you
a
just nailed it,
a
Johnny.
belief structure or something.
Because
makes
otherwise you're
sense.
you're just like lost, right? Like that's the Adam and Eve thing. They opened their eyes
Yeah.
by eating the red fruit, the apple from the tree, and then they had to realize like, oh my god, not only am I naked and I'm vulnerable, there are snakes in this fucking garden, and those snakes are trying to like tempt me with evil things.
No, they already did. It's like I'm naked as fuck
Too
and God
late.
is pissed.
Well, God's
Yeah.
pissed,
That's
but
what they
also they
realized.
covered themselves when they're naked because they realized I'm vulnerable, right? Like
But
I
that-
can
that-
be exposed.
But that realization that God is pissed means, oh, I live in a dangerous world. Like a rabbit,
Yeah.
if he's full of food and it doesn't smell danger, he might just stand in the field like, hey, this is pretty good right now.
Nice
Things are all right.
sunset.
While the hawk swoops down and picks them up. And it's like, no, you should go out into the world being like, no, it's terrifying because you're self-aware of
Right.
your own
Totally, but
existence
do you know what
and
the other thing that comes
But-
with
well,
as a
I
human
was just-
being is, you know, if I can be hurt, that means I can hurt you. You realize that the way you could be hurt, you could cause that harm onto someone else, and that's the birth of human evil. It's the knowledge that, like, whatever way you're vulnerable, you could
Isn't that what happens?
take
with,
advantage of that in your
That's what happens with Cain and Abel.
exploit
too.
that in other people.
Yeah. I think it's more
That
that
is Cain and
like
Abel, yeah.
if you develop this self-awareness to help you survive, you need a coping mechanism like a belief system
Mm-hmm.
to deal with it, to deal with that
Justify it.
to justify the
So you don't spin off
terror of
into
it.
psychosis. Yeah.
If you have that, then it would make sense. You would have some built-in language structure so that so that the next generation of these conscious,
know
self-aware,
it, yeah.
terrified apes have an easier way to communicate with the last ones to be like, oh yeah, this is how you do it. Like that makes sense
Yeah.
to me.
I think that's exactly.
But we're
The-
talking
the
about the
kind-
past. We got to get back to
No,
the
but the
future.
past has everything
Oh
to
my
do with
God.
the future. So the question is like,
Because
will
past
we
apes led to current
1, 2, and
apes,
3.
which lead to robotic apes.
will we evolve out of that, or will we like what will we become?
The weird thing is when you talk
Planet
about
apes.
evolution, aren't we getting to a point of post-evolution? Like when you start to get into CRISPR and that type of shit, where we're deciding what we want to be.
Wouldn't you even say wearing a seatbelt or wearing a bicycle helmet is already putting yourself outside of nature and evolution?
To a certain degree, I mean,
No.
we've always been.
Then again, there are people that just go, "I'm not going to wear a helmet," and then
But
they
that's
die.
just, but those are just extensions of tools. We've been using tools for millions of years. We've been using tools forever.
I didn't mean to say we could get outside of nature because I don't think that's possible.
Well, we can remove ourselves from it more and more, right? And that's what I mean when I say that we use CRISPR and gene editing technology, where you can get rid of certain diseases or choose
But
for certain
who's doing the
preferences.
gene editing?
That's a
Other
good question.
creatures who are built from nature. So it's
Monsanto.
the Monsanto,
Monsanto,
exactly,
yeah. No, that's a good question.
which is an evil corporation made up of humans,
of
right?
evil humans?
Yeah,
who run an evil corporation?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it circles back on itself.
But
is
it
what I'm
doesn't
saying.
necessarily until the algorithms take over. Because when we decide
I have shit to say about that.
when we decide, hey, why are we paying these humans health insurance to make these decisions? The algorithms do it better, more efficiently, quicker, cheaper. Let the algorithms decide. Well, who's programming the algorithms? They can program themselves now. That's a thing.
Yang 2024.
Programming algorithms.
We program them in the beginning,
Yeah.
and then we say, go off and figure out the best way to make recommended YouTube videos. And I'll tell you this.
I'll tell you this.
The
Let me
you-
tell you something.
The YouTube algorithms know a part of myself.
The Domino's algorithms
not
know a lot about
totally me.
because they email me the
Oh my
right
God.
time every day.
Oh, Domino's.
Right before I'm about to decide whether or not to cook, or if I'm too lazy to cook and might do something else. Bam! I get a Domino's email with coupons. They
Yeah,
know.
they know.
They figured that shit out. The algorithms
They
are
know,
onto
they
me.
know.
Or the Amazon emails that's like, oh, I noticed you put things in your cart and you didn't like complete the order. It's like, yeah, bitch, that's because I'm like not ready to buy it yet. You know?
Yeah, but that's just a reminder email.
No,
That's
I
not-
know, but those are timed based off of some algorithm's
Yeah,
decision
right.
of like, when is a person most likely to follow through on a click like that?
Yeah.
Oh, we know Luke. He's probably going to finish
But that's
a
my point.
podcast by 10 and be drunk, and then like he'll definitely say,
But
like, let's
eventually,
buy that.
but eventually, the algorithms and the programming just becomes self-sustaining.
But we don't understand how the algorithms arrive at their solutions because they're
Yeah.
self-learning, just like the
Right.
the Google program that learned how to play AlphaGo, or it was called AlphaGo or something. The game Go,
Yeah.
right? They don't understand how it learned it.
Yeah.
They just know that it learned it.
Yeah.
They let it observe a bunch
Yeah.
of games.
Well, they know the principles of how it learns it, but they don't know
the
necessarily
details,
how it continues.
And
and they don't know
and
the details of how their advertising
Yeah.
things work.
I have a lot of
version-
computer science students who say exactly what you're saying, where, yeah, there's a certain point where even now we're kind of looking at these technologies and being like,
Yeah.
it just kind of does its thing. And I'm like, wait, you're the people who are supposed to understand this.
Those are going to become the new gods potentially.
Yeah, I mean, if you just keep increasing the power.
The
increasing
Rehoboams,
efficiency.
right?
The
Isn't that its
Rehoboams,
name?
that's a Westworld
Rehoboams.
reference. Yeah. Have you finished
Yeah.
that, Johnny?
Robohams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Robohams.
episode 101, Westworld.
Robohams.
Obviously.
Robohams
Yeah,
are
let's
going to
do
be the meat of 20.
Robohams.
Robohams, man.
So, for people not familiar
Sounds
with
delicious.
Westworld, this is not a spoiler, but at some point there's a supercomputer.
At some point, here's the plot to season 3. Not a spoiler. at all.
No. It's
No spoiler.
It's about what we're talking about. Like these marketing algorithms suck right now because they're infants.
They're infants.
you'll-
They're like little babies.
I'll buy something online for beer
That's true.
making, and then I start getting ads for it, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I bought it.
You should have
Like, I
known
bought
that
it.
way before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like for cars. That happens when people try to look up cars and flights. It's like I just spent like 10 grand on a car. I'm not about to buy another one.
Yeah.
Like so it's not there yet, but the more data it's getting old stuff. Like eventually it'll get a big enough picture that it can have actual predictive powers.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets scary because when do we go from advertising to targeted marketing to propaganda to just programmed consent and like
The
just
weird thing is
conditioning.
the human mind.
More Black Mirror.
Yeah, very Black Mirror. Yeah.
Several episodes of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
All of Black Mirror.
Maybe like 73% of Black Mirror. Yeah.
Yeah.
The human mind evolved to make decisions like how to analyze things based off of instinct, and most of us don't consciously think of all the details that go into our decisions unless we're forced to, and someone says, why did you do that? And you go, let me unpack what I think but we don't understand what we do, right? Whereas an algorithm has the computer memory to in detail hold every video file of everything it's seen. Now, my memory does not work like that. When I think of what we did last week,
Wait, but it could, Luke, if you get the right Neuralink upgrade.
Yeah.
Like, is that?
but
even,
I'm worried
that's such
about
a
what that
different-
would mean for human interaction because all of our cultural things have evolved with like when I tell a story, I exaggerate it a little bit to prove the point of the story, and you understand the exaggerated version to understand my point. But if I just played you a video file, you'd be like, I don't get it.
Yeah, but if you talk to somebody from 1,000 years ago that spoke English, their vocabulary would be so limited. Like they're just like
Yeah, I agree. We
they
would not be able to
they would
communicate
seem
well.
they would seem like an idiot to you, and you would seem like an undesired. Like I don't want to live like this person. They're going way too fast. Like look at them. Like there's
Yeah.
something wrong with it.
They
Like,
wake
you
up
might
and
think
grab
the
that
same thing.
rectangle in their hand and just look at it for a
Yeah,
while.
you might think
Yeah.
you might think the same thing about somebody in 2099. Like, oh, this person is able to access all their memories like that, like in a solid state, and like they're
Right.
too precise. There's no fun to like they're just a robot.
Right.
But
Right.
to them, they're like, no, it's so much more organized. My life's so much more enriching. I don't ever forget anything. I don't waste a
Well,
moment.
Johnny,
Like,
you're getting into that interesting question of like, is it our limitations as humans that make our life meaningful? And I would say there's something there because like the more perfect you try to be, the more you realize you're not perfect, and
Yeah.
then like you're just like that's a losing battle.
Well, that's why I think we'll eventually switch from biological molds to just robotic molds. Because why would you invest so much into what eventually we're going to have to do? I mean, farming is already so absurdly inefficient, and meat rearing and all this shit, and it's going to go into vertical farming and that type of stuff where you need to do it to feed the population. But at a certain point, just run everybody on batteries and fusion power. Why are you growing all this
no,
food?
because
It's a waste.
batteries
It's so
you got to make.
inefficient.
No, do you realize how many like calories are just produced by just wild yeast around the world? Way more than the oil industry. Like you can just
We just
build
need to
giant
figure out how to
algae
harness it.
vats.
I'm not saying-
Isaac
I'm not saying
Asimov,
oil, I'm
that
saying just
produce
fusion power,
all the.
bro.
No, I know you don't even need that though. You can just have these like you can have bacteria and yeast that produce heat to drive efficient turbines, or
Can you?
that give off
you definitely can.
that like that they produce an algae that is just super nutritious. Prelude to Foundation. Remember who are the guys? They grew these balls, these algae balls, and they made them all different flavors. And when he tried them, he's like, "Well, it wasn't food. It didn't taste like food, but it tasted like way more interesting than anything he'd ever had." And he wasn't hungry for like 2 days after.
Do you know what I want? Now
Like
that
you can
say
do
that?
all sorts of cool biohacking stuff.
Lembas
Close.
bread.
Lembas
Some of that
bread.
spice, some of that
Yeah.
melange.
Ooh, spice.
Oh.
Yeah, we can definitely make a drug spice like that lets you travel through
Just
time and
trip
space,
and,
right?
like,
Why
open
not?
wormholes and shit?
You guys think we'll still be eating in 79 years?
That's my point. I don't think we will. I think you think that because
No,
you
we
can't
will.
imagine a reality
pretty
where
sure
we
we
don't
will.
eat. But I would argue 100
Mhm.
years ago you couldn't imagine a reality where we're on the internet looking up all the things we're looking up.
Will
and-
any of us be alive then?
Yeah, we'll be in our cyborg bodies.
No, I mean seriously. Like,
I'm
what's your-
serious.
No.
See, you say, but seriously, I think
You mean
it's
like
as
so when you
absurd
say
as it is-
cyborg body, you mean you're going to make like a Westworld copy of yourself
Yes.
that's just stronger and doesn't age or whatever?
Yes, correct.
Well, why don't you but maybe not in 70 something years, but eventually the technology will be advanced enough where we can just keep you young and healthy forever.
Or
Like, why would you
simulation,
have to-
or upload me.
Why
into
would you have to
simulation.
jump? But why would you have to jump into a simulation or a host
'Cause
body?
it's cool.
if
Joe,
we can
I want
just,
you to
like,
make a
keep
pledge
you
on
running?
air right now that
'Cause
you
it's
will
awesome.
you will choose to
badass.
die a human life and never go into cyborg.
100%.
I'll take that. I'll take that pledge.
Not only
No,
am I going to
I
become a
might- I
cyborg,
might
I'm going to be
sign
playing
X.
this in a lecture in my class in the year 2099 to all the little robot students and be like, "Yeah, you hear all those other dumb fucks? They're dead. They're all
So-
gone."
but we'll
and
be-
I am victorious,
We'll be
Robo
worshipped
Joe.
as a thunk
While-
cult of the last of the humans
The last
that
of the
didn't
humans.
take the raw deal
That
of
would- no, I agree with you.
cyborgism.
I agree with you, Kara. That would be pretty sick to be like, oh yeah, like those guys were like the last of the bios, you know, like they were the last ones to just be like, yo, we're the OG.
The way
like,
we think of cowboys, like, oh, that
Yeah.
was a real man.
Yeah, yeah.
They're gonna think that, oh, that was a real person.
Some
They
legacy.
didn't have any computers
Yeah.
in them.
I kind of
They
if that's
carried
the
them on
vibe, I'd be
them,
like, all
not
right,
in
I'll bow out, like I'll go out like pretty cool like that. But
Yeah, but think about it. Would you actually want to be a cowboy? There's no toilet paper. There's like scurvy.
no,
and
I want to be
rickets
me.
and,
I want to die
like-
me and have people think of me like a cowboy.
Oh,
You see?
okay, gotcha. Yeah, but I'm saying
I want
if
the,
you
the
actually
reputation
think
without
back,
any of the work. That's
But
the
but I'm
point.
saying if you think
Like a
back to the
millennial.
Cowboys, the romanticized version, most of them would probably be like, "No, I'll take your internet. I get
Yeah.
to stay
They'd be
inside."
like, I'll
and,
trade you dysentery and my no teeth.
Yeah. You guys have socks. I've been wearing the same boots for 6 months and live on a horse. Like
have
you
7
change socks
toes.
every day.
I lose
every
a toe
single
every
day.
January.
Yeah.
I'm down
You
to
have all of your
-3.
toes. I'm in. Like
It's
yeah,
like, where did
I
you
don't
gain
know.
a toe along the way? Like,
I took my front tooth and stuck it on my foot.
There it is.
That's why they call me Joey Toefoot.
Joey Tooth Toes, eh?
Joey
How well do you guys
Toes.
think that you each will adapt? Do you think that you'll be like cool with it, or do you think you'll be like, what is this PowerPoint?
Oh, Luke's
think
going to
I-
be the ultimate Luddite out of all of us.
I'm
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
worried
yeah.
because I'm slow to the upkeep.
Yeah, you're not going to
But
be.
we-
that's
we
not-
all grew
yeah,
up-
You're not ready.
We were all a generation that made the jump from like dial-up to cell phones.
But
So
it happened
we know
perfectly
we
within
know
our
we know
prime
things are
time.
No,
going
we're
to
the
keep
generation
going.
we're the generation from Dewey Decimal to internet. That's what
Yeah,
we're
I
the
do remember that.
generation
Yeah,
of.
so I'm ready for whatever's coming. The more interesting
I
question
agree.
is if you get Philip J. Fried from Futurama and you try to deliver a pizza and you get frozen for let's say 79 years instead of 1,000 and you woke up the way you are now in
woke
2099
up. He's a cowboy
without
now.
without any time to adapt. How do you think you could handle that?
No, you would die immediately of some virus or
Well,
bacteria.
no.
Yeah,
when they
totally that.
defrost you, no, when they defrost you, like, yeah, we figured that out. That's
They
why
load
we
you up with
unfroze
the
you.
with the
Because-
immunity pack.
When Johnny
The
Genie
super
defrosts
V12
you,
shot.
he's like,
Yeah.
I got
when
you,
the Johnny
bro.
Genie defrosts, he waves the UV disinfectant. They call it a Trump. That's what that word means in the future because he was the one who came up with it. They insert this
Amazing.
light rod in you and it shoots disinfectant, and then you're safe.
That's what
to
Trump meant.
Walk
He's way
amongst the
smarter than
future
people give him credit
Yeah.
for.
There's no disease anymore. That's what you get. Oh, you got the flu. Let me put a Trump down your throat. Oh, you got AIDS. Trump in your throat.
I think
it's
Trump's
just what they
a
use
really
to treat
misunderstood
everything.
science fiction fan.
Yeah, isn't that like Nobel, the Nobel Prize
Yeah.
guy? He invented dynamite, and now that like the Nobel Peace Prize is a thing, that's the Trump of the future.
Right. Nobel people think of this great thing, not of all the people it killed. Like that's getting trumped will be like, oh yeah, I didn't feel well, so I went and got trumped. And I'll be like, yeah.
Yo, you
good
guys
for
want to get trumped up?
Although that's the main fear about going back in time is you again the same
The
problem.
main
You don't
fear.
know what the biology.
That is
back
not
then
my main fear. My main fear is dying in the past, horribly, probably.
Well, yeah, but like
Slowly.
what if while you're living like a nice life in the past, you get a sore throat and you're like, ah, shit, and then like a day later you're just like fevered out and like. And everyone else is like, we don't know what's going on. We're not getting
Oh, I
sick.
thought you
they
meant
already have immunity.
Johnny, I thought you meant like you get teleported back into the past, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm half in concrete. Because
yeah, like that would be much worse.
It's like Futurama,
Yeah.
where the universe shifted down 6 feet or some shit. You know?
or you just say the wrong thing. You go hello, and they go, "Who the fuck's a hello?" Because they don't say it that way, and then someone stabs you with a rusty knife. Because that's just
right,
because
they
that's
have
the time
syphilis
you went to.
brain. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. This guy's like, "Oh, there's a lot of mercury in the water around here. You shouldn't talk to the people."
I think you
didn't know
shouldn't
that.
go
You're
back
time
in
traveling.
time if you don't like get the right language packs.
You need assurances.
Yeah.
I need assurances. I need all the Roman inoculations.
All right.
Safer to go back than go forward, though.
I'm going to.
That's probably true.
I'm going to.
Is it
hopefully,
because like,
Yeah.
are you really immune now to like 100-year-old flu virus?
No,
So,
but neither. But at least I know what happened in the past.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't,
you
I
know
can
to wash
prepare.
your
Johnny, are
hands.
you
Read
less
a couple
afraid
books.
of the flu virus 100 years from now? If there are flu viruses still around 100 years from now, that's some scary flu. 100-year future flu.
That's pretty
I am
strong.
not ready to
Whoa.
deal
It
with
means
that.
it's co-evolved with
Yeah.
100
Well,
years from
so
now humans.
this-
yeah, and all
goes-
the flus previously, it's survived.
But we could
This
go back
is gonna
to the
be.
cave
This
people.
is the face masks are the first step of like the Asimovian way to do this. I don't know if you've read the Robot series, but the spacers go off into space and Earth is still overpopulated with people on top of each other. So even though these spacers live really long, they're so spread out they like don't have any immunities.
They're
So if
terrified of other people.
Yeah, if an Earthling goes to their planet without getting inoculations, and they have to wear like these special filters that go in their nostrils and in their throat, because when they visit Earth, because like the germs here would just kill them like immediately, War of the World style. Like we're gonna have to figure something out like that anyways as we colonize the solar system. And I think having to wear face masks everywhere, because we're realizing how connected we are in 2020, is the first step of that. But it's
I don't
gonna
know
get
where you
really
live. No
high-tech.
one here is wearing a face mask. Almost
there's
no
a lot
one.
still. I'm in
Almost no
phase 0 still, though, so you
Yeah.
have to wear them
I mean,
everywhere.
It depends where you are, but yeah, almost no.
No.
Now, I don't want to piss off the genie or anything, but I do have, I think, a nice would you rather. And it's would you rather go back and live 79 years in the past, and you have until midnight tonight, right? What is it right now? Like 9? Something like that? So you have like 3-4 hours to like prepare.
So that would be the 1940s.
You can say goodbye to everyone you know, read some history to like catch up.
I would,
Or you
definitely
can go
back.
79 years into the future.
I would definitely go back into the past.
Pass.
I got 2 questions.
Yeah.
Can I bring anything with me, or it's like Terminator rules? I show up naked.
Potato feet.
That's not really an answer. I kind of gave you an either or.
Potato head. Next.
There. Okay.
Bam,
Oh, God.
roasted.
This is why I'm not allowed to be a genie.
Yeah, you go from 0 to absolute corrupt power way
Yeah.
too quickly.
Yeah,
I
this
understand.
is why
it, but
I don't pass
Genie's
the
all
genie
about
rod
the
or
proper
the genie stick.
having power.
yeah, restriction of your dementia.
I'm
of-
actually
of-
scared what the genie might do to me since I even proposed it. Would you rather without pre-approval?
No, it's a good one.
It's just horrible
I-
execution.
Yeah, you didn't clarify my question. Like, you get to make the rules. They just you can't just yell potato feet. You got to tell me what the. Can I bring like
I'm
a
sorry, I
textbook
thought
back
the
with
rules
me?
were that I could just yell potato feet.
Well, can I go back and bring like a modern gun and like
You get to
sell
bring
it
one
and
thing
get it-
with you.
and get to patent it? Okay, that's different. Bye, Kara. Kara has to leave. Everybody.
Bye,
Thanks for
Kara.
Well,
casting
thank
with
you
us.
for your expertise.
Time
I'm
traveler's
gonna.
wife. Sorry, go
There
ahead.
you go. That's really depressing. I'm gonna just give my responsibility to Genie to keep
Okay.
shouting out relevant sci-fi.
As we approach the stuff.
The
yeah.
singularity of sci-fi references.
Yeah, it's coming.
We're
So
still in the tank right now on the way to the year.
that's true. We haven't gotten there quite yet.
Yeah, we're only halfway
Um,
there. We're in like the Neil deGrasse Tyson like Cosmos ship of.
The eyeball ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we are.
That thing was pretty cool.
That's exactly what we are.
Because if you go back in time, you could be like, I'll invent fucking Apple, Google. What's that line?
Yeah,
from
but you
Hot
don't know
Tub
how to
Time
do
Did
that.
Machine?
he really do that though?
In Hot Tub Time Machine, Rob Corddry, that's his idea. Because you go back to the 80s. Well, that's the sci-fi we're talking about, Hot Tub Time Machine right now. And he's like, think about all the stuff I can be the first to invent. Google, Facebook, fucking Justin Bieber. No one invented him yet. It's like, oh yeah, like there's so much
As
you can
if
do.
it's
You
just
can
the
you
name
can predict
that is that
the
invention. It's like, no, it's the technology,
Yeah.
and you don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like when the 90s show up, you can be like, oh, boy bands are going to be huge. I'm going to find whatever boy bands are around and invest. Like, if you just like,
How do you invest
could
in a
definitely-
boy band?
You buy them speakers and shoes. I don't know.
Hey kids, your kids want some new
Come in my
speakers and
van.
shoes?
I'll make you famous.
from
I've
here,
seen it in the
$29.99.
future.
Hey kids, I know you're just doing open mics at the local.
I'm from the future.
but please, I'm from the future, and trust me, take my money, but come into my
But what
van.
if so the thing is
Why do
basically
you have
like
a van?
I don't know.
you could
I gave him
definitely-
a van. I'm a nice genie. I gave him a van to drive around in.
you could definitely make money going back to like 1940.
But I'd want to research
it'd
how to
be
do
s-
that.
I think you could make money.
You definitely can, man.
How
go-
do you know you
just
wouldn't fuck up a
ju-
timeline by like?
Who
Fuck the
cares if you
timeline.
fuck it
Yeah,
up?
who
I'm rich
cares?
in this one. You go find out where Ray Kroc met those brothers, and you meet him the day before and murder him in a ditch, and then you go be Ray Kroc and start McDonald's.
But
Now
would it
you're a
disturb
billionaire.
you to know
Like,
that
there's-
in the timeline you're in, you're super successful, but there's a parallel one that has like you and people like what you
Nah,
know,
bro,
but
I'm a
different
time
versions
traveler.
and they're suffering?
I'm a
Why
time
are they
traveler. I
suffering?
bailed on my whole
'Cause they almost
reality. I don't really
definitely are.
care.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying in the version where you're rich, like parallel to that is the version where you all live under a bridge and there's a zombie apocalypse.
Why do you live under a bridge and there's a zombie apocalypse?
Because that's what.
But that one's parallel to now, and I don't
You want
care
potato
about
feet?
it. So
that didn't
in
happen.
the zombie
What are you ta-
apocalypse.
That makes no
I
sense.
think it's,
Potato
so.
feet.
The
Potato
genie
nose.
powers are
Carrot nose.
Great, it
kind of
smells
like
French fries.
the genie powers are kind of like the Infinity Stones. If you use them too long, you kind of lose it. So Luke's coming apart at the seams a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I'm not
But-
following his.
You
train
give
of
me
thought.
genie powers for 5 minutes and
Yeah.
I lost them already.
I guess
Yeah.
I would be so scared.
delved
the
out too
future
many
sounds
potatoes.
the future sounds more exciting, but I'd be so scared of it being like a disappointing idiocracy that I just like get trapped. Like, oh no, you're on our chain
It
gang
might just
now.
be
And it's like
boring.
that's it. Whereas if I go back, I think I know enough history that I could capitalize on it. I could see some cool things actually happen.
Yeah.
Like if I was a
Yeah.
millionaire by the 60s, I could just be like, I'm going to donate $1 million to the JFK presidential campaign, but I want to be involved in space. And they'll be like, that's not a policy thing. Trust me, it'll come up in a couple of years when you
Yeah.
make a thing called NASA.
Yeah,
You're
you
gonna
could get
call
us
me.
to Mars
And-
by
and-
the 80s.
Right, exactly. Like you can get
Right.
yourself in on the foundation of
Yeah.
like certain things and institutions, and you could really like direct stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
You could like be known as the guy who seems to have the best instinct ever.
Yeah.
You're just like, I
Like,
can't prove it to you.
Back to the Future,
but
too.
trust me.
Maybe that's who
this
he-
is the direction
Maybe
you
that's
want to
who
go.
Elon
in.
Musk is. Maybe he's a
Yeah,
future
yeah, that's a
cyborg
great
time
point.
traveler.
Yeah.
And he just
Might be.
came back to the 80s or whatever. Nobody has seen that fucker before the 80s, and he's just been.
He does kind of speak like he's from a different plane.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a statement. That's a sentence.
So yeah, That's my take. I think I might have to go back in time because it might be less exciting, but I think it's a safer bet.
I don't. Yeah, I 100%.
And I'm guaranteed
agree.
more fun.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Like think about if you do it right and you become like one of the first billionaires, you can be like, get Sean Connery on the phone. I want to talk to him in the 60s. I'm curious what he's actually like.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much you could do.
You know, he turned down the role for Gandalf. You could tell him to take that role.
I could make sure he takes the role.
Although Ian McKellen was the perfect Gandalf, but
No, I would have made Lord of the
Frodo,
Rings.
you must destroy the ring.
I would have made the Lord of the Rings in the 80s. Like I would have started
Frodo.
a company and spent 10 years perfecting.
I don't know
it.
why my Sean Connery impression sounds like
Frodo.
Akbar, Admiral Akbar.
Frodo.
Frodo, you must destroy the ring.
Frodo. It's a trap.
It's a trap, Frodo.
Gollum's behind you. It's a trap.
Push him into the fires.
Yeah, I say go back in time though. What about you?
I don't know. What do you think, Tom? I would go back in time. For all the
Probably
reasons
be
you say.
I mean, I don't want superflu, so I'd probably go back in time.
I don't trust the future. I don't trust humans.
I would be fascinated to see the future,
Yeah.
but I don't know how long it would last.
I mean, I kind of like the idea that the future is because I have a theory that time is bullshit. Anyways, I'm not sold on time as really being as big of a deal as people make it out to be. Have you read Slaughterhouse-Five, Johnny?
Yep.
So I'm of the Slaughter. Have you read Slaughterhouse-Five, Tom?
I'm reading it now, actually.
Okay, I'm of the mind of Slaughterhouse-Five, where I really do think sort of that the way he has a great line in Slaughterhouse-Five where he describes the future. The narrator has the aliens describe how humans perceive time, and he basically says that the aliens are sort of puzzled by how humans are so narrow-minded, because he said that humans see time as being strapped to the front of a train with a 6-foot pipe welded to your forehead, and you can only see straight out it going forward. And he said that's the human concept of time, and he said it's absurd because you're missing all the reality of time around you. And he said that's what time is really like, going through.
It's like a 2-dimensional trying to explain our world to a 2-dimensional.
It's like Flatland, dude.
Yeah.
If
'Cause
you
it's
all
like
listening
how-
haven't read
you're-
Flatland,
You
check
can
that
only
shit out.
go up and down and side to side. You
Yes.
don't realize you're in 3 dimensions until you try to think about taking
Well,
one away.
Flatland is a perfect example because you can only go left, right, and forward, back. And when the 3D people try to explain to the 2D people about up and down, they just keep saying, "What you keep saying up? Up is not a word."
Right. It's not
what
a
is that?
thing.
That would be like a 4th dimension person saying, "Oh, just look
Like,
at
oh, just stop."
And you're like, "Those
Yeah.
are
Or
guttural
they're like,
sounds.
"Oh,
I don't
it's
know
like, oh,
that
if
one."
you're enjoying your time, why don't you just stop? And
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah, just stop. And it's like, that's not a thing. It's not
That's
a
in
concept.
Slaughterhouse
We
5.
can't-
They say
we don't have it. Yeah.
They say, "Oh, just go to that. Oh, you want to go to that planet? Just go to when you were there last."
Yeah.
They'll say, "Oh, just go to when you were there last and do whatever you want." And they're like, "How do I do whatever I want if I was already there?" They're like, "Because you haven't done that yet." And the humans are just
Right.
like, "Ah!" The
It
humans
just it
freak
falls
out,
apart
yeah.
very quickly for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Martian Time Slip by Philip K. Dick also kind of that's
really?
more about like the perception of time.
Yeah,
Another great sci-fi story.
yeah. Dick is pretty great.
But it's before they really understood how like autism and Down syndrome worked. So he must have taken a lot of drugs, and he
definitely
decided
took
that
a lot of drugs.
he decided that autistic people are just perceiving time differently, and that's why they seem like, quote unquote insane by 60s standards
I mean,
or
maybe.
deranged, whatever the horrible medical term was back then. And so this guy who's like a shady union boss for the water union on
It
Mars,
sounds like such a Philip K. Dick book.
right? He decides I'm going to use an autistic kid and build a machine so he could tell me what real estate to speculate on. And it's like, that's the kind of sci-fi I love because it has that shitty human element in it. It's like, yeah, we have all this advanced
Yeah.
technology around Mars, but someone's still just trying to make money on real estate development.
Dick
or
was
some
really good
stupid
at that.
nonsense like that.
That book he wrote, A Crack in Space, is a good example of that too,
Mm-hmm.
where it takes place in the future where humans realize, oh, there's another dimension, a parallel dimension to Earth, where sort of the premise is that Neanderthals won rather than our universe, where humans won over Neanderthals. And us as humans in the future are like, this is great. Let's exploit them for natural resources. There's a whole other parallel Earth with like oil that we haven't used.
We know
yet.
where everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
we know where everything is.
Yeah.
We just got to go get it.
So it's that human element of, oh yeah, humans are still awful in the future. And then of course we get our ass asses kicked because we're being awful pieces of shit. But it's that same
The
like
comeuppance, so to speak.
yeah. But anyways, I don't know.
I brought a bag of beer.
Did you just get that?
I just went upstairs and grabbed
Nice.
6 more beers.
That's scary that you can do
All
that.
right,
You can
we
just-
might have to do a drunk tank where we go to 20, we go to
2100.
29.
Let's do
$29.99.
Let's do Drunk
Ooh.
Tank episode 2099.5, and it's the bridge between 2099 and episode 100.
That's we
Okay,
do owe
deal.
our Patreon fans a drunk tank.
We should do that before episode 100.
Have we
We are doing
covered what we need to cover here?
I think
I had one more. I had a clip we never got to play.
Oh, play the
But I
clip.
guess we can. I guess we
Captain,
can
where
open
are
the
we?
next
Are we almost
episode.
2099?
We are approaching 29.
What's the clip?
Actually,
save it for the Drunk Tank.
yeah. Let's open the drunk. Oh, I dropped my phone. So let's save it for.
You want to tease
Yep.
him?
I think that's the sign.
Let's.
Any would you rather
That's the
for the
tease.
regular cast?
Didn't we just do
um,
that with the time travel?
I know, but I felt really bad stealing the genie's thunder without permission.
No, it's good. It's good.
No, get it out of the way before episode 100. That will be a good
No,
episode.
we did one. We don't need multiple would you rather's. That was a good one.
Yeah, that
I
was
think
a good
most
one. That was a good
people.
one.
I think
it was just
I-
Do you
horrifying.
think if I apply to
execution.
Genie Academy next year, they might let me in?
Not
or-
even close. You guys
Okay, so since we all kind of agreed on going into the past and we picked different items depending on what our strategy was, let's end with, instead of another would you rather, what item would you choose if you were forced the future option? Like, let's say the
Okay.
genie asks us, the genie asks you and me, and then I go past and I jump in the machine and goes, well, all right, well, you each only get one, so he was a dick and just took pass, so you have to go to the future now. What item do you bring with you?
Anyone want to go first?
I really have to think about
Can I
this
bring
one.
genie tokens?
So, like, you can try to cheat on, like, I want to bring something that has stuff in it.
I would never cheat, Mr. Genie. I just want
Like, you could say bring a piano, but piano is made of more than, it's got keys in it, it's got like strings, it comes as a full piano. But if you try to say like,
could I bring David Bowie?
no, he's gone.
Yeah, but I'm time traveling into the future via Genie.
Yeah, we're not stopping just to steal.
You don't do.
Bowie
You're
for
like
you.
Robin Williams, like Aladdin Genie. You don't do dead shit. Is that
Yeah,
one of his contingencies?
No, I will, just not with Bowie. I
Is it-
respect him.
No,
too much.
isn't that what he says?
Can
the
I
genie
bring
in
the
Aladdin? He says like, and I won't bring people
just-
back from the dead. It's really creepy. When like
It's-
he says that he kind of alludes to the fact that he has done it and he
Yeah,
can do
it's
it. He's
really
just not
creepy.
comfortable doing
Can I
it.
bring
He's
a
tried.
snapshot?
It never works well.
Yeah, it never goes well. Yeah.
I want to bring a snapshot of the entire content of the internet and a screen that will last me. I don't know what they charge.
You just said
shit
and.
with.
So yeah,
does that
so like
automatically
that-
give him potato feet?
That kind of like cheating, that's not going to work. It's just the buzzer goes off. You got
a flash
please try
drive with
again.
the
You get-
downloaded contents of the internet.
You
Yeah,
you
but-
can bring a flash drive.
How
That's it.
big? How big is the internet?
How big do the internet? Definitely, they don't exist big enough to carry the internet. You can get one with a couple 100 gigs on it. Bring that, or like an external hard drive. That's what you should have asked for, with like a terabyte or two.
But I'm
But
worried
I don't
about
know-
how it will interface with whatever computer I need to read the information when I get there.
You have to
Yeah,
find
if you're
some
going
order
into the future with all the internet, that would be like going into now.
We don't know
with
what the future
every-
is, though. It could be cavemen life.
Yeah, but what if somebody showed up now and they're like, I have every library book up till 1943? You'd be like, great. Like I
You'd
have
be like,
that.
cool,
plus
that's a lot
more.
of
It's
stuff
called-
to own and work through.
wouldn't
I
that
have
be
a phone.
right.
that be
Nobody
crazy?
cares.
If
But
the-
you're
if-
all on the
guaranteeing me
internet.
that the future is going to be like
No,
the
that's the
better
thi-
version of this
no,
society?
That's
No.
the genie trick. You might want to bring. You might want to.
I might want to bring books.
You might want to. No,
A book, an
you-
encyclopedia.
You might want to bring a piece of sharpened steel to start a fire.
Well, you
Yeah.
know,
Right?
I think
See,
Stealing
You ever-
my
you ever
thunder,
read
man.
something.
You ever read that book Hatchet? He did a lot with a hatchet.
Yeah,
I was gonna say a multi-tool.
yeah. That's
Mm,
a good
That was
one.
gonna be
Multi-tool.
my answer. Yeah.
my first
Same
instinct.
answer is like a desert island.
Yeah, a sick
Kind of what this
multi-tool.
question
Yeah,
can
Because
possibly
what if it's
be.
such an advanced future where they're like, oh my god, a tool designed for a human that should be in a museum? That's worth a lot.
it
You might
belongs
luck out
in a
that way.
museum.
My first instinct was Elon Musk's flamethrower.
That's not bad.
Because, like, I'll make use of that no matter what's
Either
going
way,
on. Yeah.
yeah. No matter what the circumstances.
And
are.
throw in a Tesla. I'll take a Tesla, too.
Oh, he's
No, you
you
wow.
get again,
You get one
Johnny.
He's
item.
trying to sell Eugene.
Johnny.
Now, if you said Tesla, I might have said that, and then you could say I can take the battery out, I can take the screen out, I can take the wheels, and you can turn it into a bunch of different stuff. But no, you can't just add on a Tesla.
To
You
a
get nothing.
flamethrower.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm making.
You get nothing.
It's one purchase. I just want to add it.
Joe,
on.
you're up. Joe, you're up. He gets to go with nothing now. He's going to 2099 in a
Naked.
Speedo. No, you get a Speedo.
Do you get a potato foot?
Speedos are considered racist in 2099, though, so you're in for a tough time.
Yeah.
But go, go ahead, Joe.
This might be a loophole,
Uh-oh.
but I would want to bring a time capsule.
That's a lot of stuff in one bag.
But I'm not deciding what's in the time capsule, Genie. I just want to be given a time capsule.
So, like, the community center decides, and
Yeah.
it's got, like, kids' letters
Yeah,
and,
right.
like,
So now the
a book.
community center knows that genies exist and you're going to the future.
I don't know. That's up to the
Don't
Genie.
worry. Don't worry about how
You'll
I
clear
am.
their
Don't-
memories afterwards.
Don't tell me how to do my
Yeah,
job.
yeah, no, I'm not worried about any of that. Is that permissible though?
The fact that you don't get to choose the items, yes.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Because I would love
Yeah.
to have that conversation. Because anything that's in there, I feel like I would be able to explain. Because
You
I would
could be the curator of
Yes,
it. for
exactly.
their
And they'd
future
be like,
yeah.
what is this? And I'd be like, oh yeah, that's kind of weird. Or I'd be like, oh yeah, I love those. You know what I mean?
And then any 20th, 21st century like nut job historians who are obsessed with that era would be
Yeah.
able to. They'd find you and be like, "Oh, can I just talk to you for my book?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, you gotta let me live with you though. I'm from the past. Like I need a place to stay."
Yeah, I don't-
Like, you'd
I
find
don't
enough
have
weird
your uploads.
academics, you might get a following.
yeah. I could become my own board.
Because if there was a guy right now from the 40s, think about how many historians and like researchers and people would just be like, I just want to like study you and spend time with you. What do you need? What do you want? Oh, you want chewing tobacco? Let me see how you chew. Like they would just be down with, okay, drink this case of beer. I want to see how people did that back then. Go.
Yeah.
You'd be like, all right, like it might be really cool.
Yeah.
Joe, you got it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Time
Great
capsule.
idea.
That was good.
That's what
I feel like
happens
you were
for
a little
I decided.
lenient on him, and you, for some reason, didn't like my flamethrower Tesla idea.
Yeah, because you said one cool thing and then you wanted cars.
throw
on
in a
top of that.
Tesla, too.
Yeah, you're like throwing an awesome
Yeah.
car on top of the one thing I already chose.
Also, you didn't diversify. They were both Musk items. What if he's like a war criminal? What if he tries to
Dude,
take
you show
over
up-
the world?
You show up like a horse of the apocalypse, dude.
Yeah, what if they're like
Would that be
you
like
basically
showing up
show
with like
up
a
in
Nazi
like
regalia? Like,
yeah, be
Yeah,
like
in a
huh?
Panzer tank. Like,
yeah, and you're like Hugo Boss, top of the line designer,
howitzer
huh?
pad,
And they'd be
yeah.
like,
Liger tanks.
Yeah.
yeah, you should diversify a little when you're time traveling.
All right, we should end this podcast at Nazis.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean, they
2099.
existed 80 years ago. They do now. We're probably going to be stuck with them for a little longer, unfortunately.
I think I heard you guys saying this as I was walking to get beer, but just that maybe humans will never escape human, right? Like we're
No,
humans.
nobody said that.
I don't know what you said. I was
Nobody
peeing
said
and
that.
walking to get beer, but I thought
You
I
were
While you're
peeing and
peeing,
walking to
while
get
you're
beer.
peeing.
Interesting. Interesting. Tell us more about your
The trick is to do it
socio-political
backwards, so you-
commentary, Luke.
Do it backwards so you don't get it on your shoes. Right, Tom?
I was wondering why Luke changed his pants.
We'll tell you that story in the drunk
Oh,
tank.
okay. Yeah, there's a story of me watching a sunset, drinking beer at the beach, and I went to pee, and when I came back, I had different pants on, and yeah.
You just
Yada,
told the
yada,
whole
yada.
story.
Story, man.
You just
I
told
didn't
the
tell
whole
the
story.
punchline.
No, there's
All
more
right.
to it. Trust me.
Come over to the drunk tank, which we're about to enter.
How do you get into the drunk tank, Johnny?
It's kind of like a Peter Pan thing of you have to believe, but with 4 to 6 beers,
Oh, I love that
and
Play-Doh
then
food.
and then the portal kind of opens.
There's also this
Yeah.
element of like a 9 or 4 times 4. There's a 16-digit code, which is your credit card. And if you put it on patreon.com/thunktankpodcast.
You mean how do people also
Yeah.
get it? I thought you were asking how I enter it.
Yeah, Johnny's like, no, I just enter it by deciding to like.
No, if people want to see get a glimpse into the tank. Yeah, give us $1 on Patreon, and you get more of this madness. Somehow,
we're about
You'll
to
find out
less-
how bad Luke pissed his pants.
somehow less
Your time.
structured, more free flowing version of this.
Well,
podcast,
sometimes
in
the
case
thunk
that's what
tank
you
can be
want.
too structured and too, like we stick to one topic like very exclusively, and we don't jump around enough.
Did you try to say exclusively and explicitly?
All right, we should end it.
Exclusively.
To the tank.
All right.
All right, to the tank.
Well-
Any last comments?
Thank you guys for 99 fantastic episodes. We will see you.
We're
next
really
week.
proud of you guys. You've stuck around for 99 episodes.
We will see you next week at episode 100. This is our last
Should we
double-digit
should we
episode.
announce what's planned for 100?
You got to come to the drunk tank for that.
Ooh,
right.
I like that. Otherwise, you'll find out in a week on episode 100.
Yeah.
All
Like,
right.
share, and
Also, I
subscribe.
said it earlier in this episode.
I think I did too.
All right, bye,
Bye,
Thunk
guys.
Tank listeners.
Good night and good luck.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Thunk Tank podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to help us out, please consider leaving a rating or a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share it with people you think might like it. And if you really want to support us, you can go over to patreon.com/ThunkTankPodcast. We have links to this in the episode description and other places. And for as little as $1 an episode, you can help us keep the lights on. And you also get access to a very special Drunk Tank feed of episodes. So every few episodes, we'll have a few more beers and record an extra 20 to 30 minutes of extra thunky, silly whateverness. So there's a separate RSS link you can get from there, and if you put that into a podcast player, you'll get your own separate feed of only the Drunk Tanks. I think we have about 6 or 7 of them out already, and more to come. Thanks for listening, and stay funky.